Hi everyone! Our guest today is Kelly Costello, CEO and founder of Puppy Cake, a birthday cake and ice cream company specifically for dogs. Kelly believes that everyone, especially our dogs, deserve to be celebrated.
She's going to share with us what inspired the ingenious idea and how she brought it to fruition. I'm excited to hear how she created and formulated all of her recipes.
Let's get started. This is Donnie, the co-founder and CEO of Vital Pet Life.
And I'm Dr. Amber, your official veterinarian at Vital Pet Life.
We're here to talk about pets, pet nutrition and wellness, anything that can help our fur children live a longer, vibrant, and happier lives.
All right.
Yeah. Welcome to Vital Pet Life Podcast. Let's welcome Kelly.
Welcome to the Vital Pet Life Podcast, Kelly.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I think it's especially fun that you guys focus very heavily on nutrition. And I'm going to kind of edge in here and say, how can you have some fun with maybe some ingredients that aren't always, considered the healthiest, but how can we still have fun while celebrating our dogs with some really indulgent treats?
Exactly. That's exciting. Yeah, we're excited. So I'm just going through the background, how you started a company, how you have the idea of building this brand. Like, what inspired this idea? How did your background empower you to dive into this?
Yeah, so I started the company in 2007 and I was in my early 20s and I had always loved dogs. I celebrated my dog's birthdays. I had a wedding for my dogs when I was a kid. So I was already very much an obsessed dog owner. And I was working at a sales and marketing firm and one of my clients made cake mix for people. And so I was looking at their old cake mix ads all day and I was thought to myself, oh, wouldn't that be great if they made that for dogs? Like people love their dogs. And that was my light bulb moment. And I got pretty obsessed with it. I started researching canine nutrition. What can I give a dog safely? What are healthy? Like how can I take a cake and make it as healthy as possible? And I started with two flavors, carob, which is a natural dog safe alternative to chocolate, and then banana. And so that's how it started. And since then, I moved from out of my one bedroom apartment in Pittsburgh to we now have a 20,000 square foot facility in a small town north of Pittsburgh called Portersville. We make all of our own products. We use human grade ingredients. I eat everything that we make, so I'm completely confident in everything that comes out of this factory.
Test it out. You test it out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's I just have my favorites. Pumpkin cake is probably my favorite cake.
I like pumpkin.
Especially when it's right out of the oven. It smells really good and it has a great texture. It's wheat free, which is great for me because I try to eat gluten free. I do have a sensitivity to it.
Wow. I should try that.
Yeah.
You might like our ice cream.
You have ice cream too?
Yeah, so we have an ice cream mix. It's a shelf-stable powder, so the consumer takes it home, they add water, and they freeze it at their convenience. So it's the only ice cream for dogs that you can get on Amazon.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't even know that.
We've got two different lines, the Haagen-Dazs line, which is no sugar added, and our original Puppy Scoops line, which has a little bit of sugar. It makes it creamier. And if you're someone who's not into super sweet things like me, the ice cream is really good, and the Haagen-Dazs bacon is surprisingly good. A little bit of sweetness from the milk makes that bacon flavor taste really good.
Oh wow. So you don't use any sugar at all? No, nothing.
For the Haagen-Dazs line, there's no sugar added. For the Puppy Scoops line, there's a little bit in there. It just makes it creamier. It doesn't freeze quite as hard.
But what kind of sugar are you using? I mean, I know there's a lot of alternative sweetener
now.
Yeah,
we just use regular cane sugar. We have tried some other things. Because everything that we make is powder, I start to get a little bit concerned about the process with which, if you use spray dried honey. When I first started Puppy Cake, I tried to use spray dried honey, but as I dug deeper into the process on how that's made, they start adding some different
chemicals,
fillers and kind of things like that in order to make it flow. So at the end of the day, I made the decision that I thought it was healthier and safer for dogs to just have a plain cane sugar and just use a very, very minimum amount necessary to get the chemical process that you need for a cake.
Yeah, luckily too, Dr. Amber had her nutrition certificate. So is there Dr. Amber, can you say, or is there a tidbit when it comes to sugar? I know it's somewhat no to animals, but Is there like a certain percentage that a dog can take? Is there something
Yeah,
that can?
I mean, I don't think there's really a specific percentage, but it sounds like Kelly, you mostly use it just for that, like the creaminess and not necessarily as a sweetener. And I think with anything, even if you're giving your dogs like bananas and strawberries and all of those things are healthy, but anything like we need to just moderate it. So that's what I would say, is moderation.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's not
Completely
every day
agree.
that he eats like, or the guys eat cake, right?
Right. Yeah. It should be like a celebratory thing, just like it is for people. It's like we shouldn't be eating birthday cake every day. It should be something we
Right.
should do occasionally and have some fun with it. And puppy cake is a really safe way to do that.
Yeah.
So, how long did it take you to come up with your recipes? And did you have any kind of background in like culinary arts to do this?
So if you look at our ingredients, they're really simple. So I don't have a culinary background. It was a lot of trial and error. So I took some tried and true cake recipes and completely changed them. Used wheat flour instead of just like regular white flour. We were playing around with different types of sweeteners because everything had to be in powder form so that it's like a
Hmm.
mix where you just add egg, oil, and water. I had to change a lot of things around to make it as simple as we could. So it took about 3 months to come up with my recipes for the first two recipes. Since then, we've kind of used different bases and kind of worked off of different things. The ice cream mix, that came from the yogurt powder that we were using as our icing. And I
Okay.
Oh.
thought, well, if you can get powdered yogurt, can you also get like powdered high fat milk?
Mm-hmm.
And then we developed our own way of making it lactose free because, as you know, dogs are lactose intolerant. So you
Yeah.
can't be like scooping out your ice cream and giving it to your dog. You could have some pretty serious GI issues later
Yeah.
because they're lactose intolerant. So just a lot of trial and error. Just keep testing. We've worked with foster groups before to like do some testing of new products for palatability. We're very
Okay.
confident in the safety of things, but we want to know like how is it used and what our dogs liking it.
Oh.
Wow, that is so cool. I love to cook and I don't have a culinary background either, but like the science of cooking, I don't pretend to understand it, but it's so interesting to me. So you really had to go through that process of not only how are these ingredients going to work together and they're going to be safe and they're going to be palatable, but they're
Mhm.
also going to be stable so that, you can ship them out and they're going to last.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like an interesting thing that I learned in my process of like coming up with these recipes, a cake that we discontinued this year was our red velvet cake, which we use beet powder in order to make it red. And the very first time that I made it, I just copied my carob flavor and just replaced the carob with beet powder, thinking that this would come out perfectly. Well,
Yeah.
what I learned immediately as soon as I pulled it out of the oven is that beets are highly sensitive to acidity. And
Oh.
Hmm.
that red batter that was beautiful when I put it in the oven turned completely brown.
Oh,
Oh my
wow.
So
God.
I had to do some more research. Like we had to use like it didn't respond well to double acting baking powder because of the pH level of it. So I had to
Hmm.
make a bunch of different changes to make that one work.
What do the ingredient they use? Like, I mean, I usually get sprinkles, and because they have sprinkles pup cake, like the pup cake for dogs, and then I think there's also like dog bakery here that have red velvet. So if I wonder what kind of ingredient they use to make it red for red velvet cakes.
Yeah, red is really tricky. I mean, beet is probably the only good natural color if you want to get a really bright
Mm-hmm.
red. We're actually looking into making like a strawberry cake. So we're
Oh.
trying not to use beet. We're going to be trying some other things, see if we can use straight up strawberries for it, or we can maybe use like some other coloring for it.
Mm.
Most red things are a fake chemical red, so you really do have
Oh.
to look in there.
Oh
And like
gosh.
for us, we make our own sprinkles, and that's part of
Mm-hmm.
why we make our own sprinkles is because we wanted to be able to control that and not use like palm oil and sugar. So our sprinkles have no sugar added to them whatsoever, no palm oil. They're super clean. And
Oh
then
my.
we use all vegetable derived colors or spirulina for the blue.
Yeah, I like spirulina because it's still a healthy ingredient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I'm gonna try your cake for Texas the next year. Yeah. I feel like the whole process of creating a cake for your pup, like it scares me because I don't know like the measurements, my make. I just do the basic. Like I've been starting to bake the squash for them and they really like it. And that's it. I'm like, oh, this is the only
Yeah.
thing I can give you guys that yeah, I made.
Yeah, it can
Yeah.
definitely be really daunting. with figuring out what ingredients are safe for dogs.
Yeah.
Some things that you wouldn't even think would be unsafe, like maybe raisins or
Yeah,
grapes.
yes.
Like you wouldn't think that there would be anything unsafe about that, but it's the skin of the grape that's dangerous, right, Dr. Amber?
Yeah.
It's actually really unknown. I mean, because some dogs will have a reaction and they'll, go into kidney failure by eating grapes or raisins, and other dogs can eat them all the time and not have a problem. And so I really don't think that science has nailed that down, what exactly in the grapes is toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like such a common ingredient that's in so many people's kitchens and that they keep in the refrigerator.
Right.
And you'd think it'd be no problem, but yeah. So
When we had that experience with a new puppy and I went to Reddit, like people were saying, "Oh my God, I've been giving my dog grapes." People have no idea. And they were like, now that I know, I'll never give grapes. But some dogs basically, they were like, "Oh, but he lasted till like he 16 or 18." Like, I'm like, this is a long time. But yeah, again, as Dr.
yeah.
Amber said, it really depends.
I was gonna say, like, one of the tough things about being a dog owner is what is safe and like where do you get your information? So
Yep.
like doing things like this podcast where you're talking about nutrition and like kind of giving people advice on where do you get the best information?
Hmm.
How can I feel confident in what I'm giving my pet? I know for a lot of dog owners is like you trust the store that you're going from, or you trust your vet. So like if you walk into an independent pet store or like a larger chain pet store, you're trusting that everything in here I can safely give my dog. And so
Yeah.
there's quite a bit of responsibility that all of us pet food manufacturers have to make sure that we are being as safe as possible and educating our customers as much as we can.
Yeah. I feel
Yeah,
like this.
and that's what I was going to say is sometimes when we have a podcast topic in mind, I'm doing my research, and sometimes I'll just Google things to see what comes up. And I mean, it's shocking how many times, all of the top results are bad information. And so, you just have to be really careful about where you're getting your information, because there are a lot of bad information out there that can be harmful if you follow their advice. And so,
Yeah.
we're really trying with our podcast and our blogs and everything just to get good information out there and give people good resources.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
I
so I'm
used
curious, what do each of you feed your pet?
for me, I have like so Tuxedo, his senior dog, and at the same time he has like bladder stones that we're trying to dissolve. So he is on a special diet. And then the puppy, we use like fresh food for him. Like it's customized still for him. But yeah, I don't give them kibbles now. It's better to have fresh. And I try to give them, I've been doing a lot for Tuxedo. I've been baking sweet potatoes, anything that's just one ingredient, nothing included. I try to do that. And I think that's inspiring me to develop something in for Vital Pet, like something like that's the reason why we only have like salmon oil. If it's fish, like just really plain fish, nothing as a filler. Like I don't really want it to add in complications to it if it's just a good ingredient that we can give to the animals. Yeah, that's the only thing. Like I give them blueberries, so every day one meal has to have like a little bit of blueberries, and they like it.
Oh, good.
It'd be their treat. Yeah, Tuxedo again. Very specific. I try not to give him anything that will compromise like his stones. I mean, we still have a little bit of stones to dissolve. Yeah, very careful. And I'm starting fresh with the little puppy.
And how about you, Dr. Amber?
For me, I actually have a guinea pig right now. I don't have dogs or cats right now. So for my guinea pig, we give him like all fresh fruits and mostly vegetables, occasionally fruit. So again, they're okay for them, but the amount of sugar, and it's really easy to overfeed a guinea pig. So pretty specific. Also, guinea pigs need a source of vitamin C, and it's actually better to do that in their fresh food rather than giving a supplement. So I learned that from my bestie from vet school, Dr. Julie, which you could go back and listen to her episode of our podcast about exotic pets. But yeah, guinea pigs get bladder stones, and if you supplement vitamin C, it can increase the risk of bladder stones. So all of that to say, he's getting fresh vegetables, always has hay. I always tell my kids they're like cows, they graze, they need to graze all day long. and fresh water, of course.
Okay. Do
Yeah.
you have to give him like any kind of balancer or something, like vitamin, like in his water or anything like that, just to make
No,
sure it's all balanced?
yeah, they should get most everything from just their fresh food. We do have like a guinea pig kibble, like a high quality. It's from a company called Oxbow that makes like veterinary diets for exotic animals. And so we'll supplement that a little because he likes the kibbles. But the vast majority of his food is fresh vegetables.
Right.
It's interesting that you mentioned about vitamin C because when we were like customizing Tuxedo's food, I mean, Tuxedo loves carrots, and carrots is vitamin C in there. I think the doctor was like, you minimize that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And it's good. Like, it's just that, he's got stones. I mean, that we're trying to dissolve. It's going down, but
Yeah.
slowly. Yeah.
And I think, honestly, when I did have my dog, he was a 70-pound lab mix, and I fed him a high quality kibble. I think now that I know, I've been through my nutrition certification and have some experience formulating diets, like it is really difficult to get a well balanced diet. But now that I have those tools, probably still continue to feed a high quality kibble. But now I know how to supplement with fresh food and still make it balanced. So
Yeah.
I probably would do kind of a mix of the two,
Exactly. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
personally.
So
So,
what I feed my dogs, I've got 4 dogs and I've got 5 cats. We
Oh
do
my
live on
God.
10 acres. If it
Oh,
makes it
yeah.
a little bit better, we live on 10 acres, so like I feel like it makes it a little bit better. But the primary diet that my dogs and my cats get is a raw diet, and then we rotate proteins, and then we also will feed table scraps. But I'm very careful about with my table scraps. Like I'm talking salmon skin, some vegetables, like
Mm-hmm.
meat and vegetables, and that's about it. Like I don't really even give them like many potatoes and things like that, and no human desserts. The only desserts that they would get would be like the ones that I formulated for puppy cake.
Wow.
But then I also like to occasionally give kibble. There's some really good brands of kibble out there. Sometimes I'll do like if I'm traveling and one of my dogs is gonna be staying at someone's house, I'll send them with like a fresh food that you can get in the refrigerator, like fresh pet at like Target and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's mostly what I feed them. Is just I kind of try to rotate things so
Yeah.
they're very tolerant of new foods because I've always been rotating what they're eating and they're always
That's
getting new
good.
things. And then I like to occasionally supplement, like I'll use like a new pro supplement depending on what time of year it is. Like sometimes we deal with some seasonal allergies with one of my dogs, so he'll get like some extra support during fall, whatever the transitional
Mm-hmm.
period is happening.
That's good. Yeah. I think that's very important too. Because again, every environment also does a lot of factor in your animals, like sensitivity and all those stuff. And again, like with Dr. Amber and I, we always discuss about ticks and fleas. Depends where you are at. I feel like being able to really understand what your animals' needs are, depending on the season too, or your environment. Like I think it's very important for a pet owner when it comes to nutrition. But
Mhm.
I wanted to give Tuxedo the raw diet. Like he was on it for a while before we discovered that he has stones. But I think because of that, like we can't have the traditional one. It had to be special so that we can dissolve the stones. Yeah, I'm hoping that he dissolve everything completely so that he can enjoy more. Because as I told Dr. Amber, I wish I can change his diet, rotate it.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah.
it's very
Well,
specific though. Like he can't have. There's a lot of restrictions.
yeah, yeah. And when I was in practice, and one thing that we dealt with so much was obesity. And so I'd always talk to people about, you just got to really measure out the food. You got to be careful about treats and table scraps. And so I think I was never, because I was like, as a veterinarian, my dog is not going to be overweight. And so I really like did not give him a lot of treats. I gave him a lot of fresh vegetables when I was, chopping them up for dinner and stuff. But my dog rarely got any kind of treat. But I know that that's how a lot of people bond with their pets, and especially those pets that are really food motivated. Like that's how you show them love. And so if we
Mhm.
can give them a healthy alternative, Kelly, your desserts,
Yeah,
can be a healthy way to bond with your pet. And, and again, in moderation, I think it's fine. Like, let's just keep, watching that weight
Yeah.
and be careful about it with any kind of food.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Kind of approach it like,
For Kelly, like let's go back to the cake mix and the ice cream mix? What differentiates it? Like, I know you mentioned that the ice cream mix basically evolved from the yogurt. How do you call that?
Frosting.
Frosting. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. What's the difference?
Like what makes it for dogs, not for people?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it comes down to like the quality of the ingredients and then the ingredients that we choose. So most of our cake mixes are made with rice flour instead of wheat flour because there are a lot of gluten sensitivities for dogs. And sometimes it shows up randomly too. Like I had a terrier that I didn't know that she had like a wheat allergy until she got into a loaf of bread off the counter and had was at the vet for 2 days. And that's when we
Oh.
decided, okay, no more wheat. Like she obviously has a like more than a sensitivity to this. So we put her on a wheat-free diet. So our cake mixes are made with mostly with rice flour. We do a banana has wheat flour in it. We use only as much sugar. It's a very small amount of sugar for the entire cake. And that's just because that there's a chemical reaction that needs to happen with the baking powder, the double acting baking powder, in order to make it a cake versus a biscuit. And so that's
Mm.
part of why we have to use just a tiny amount of sugar in it. If you
Oh,
try any of our
wow.
cakes, like they barely have any sweetness to it. They have flavor, but it's not like a heavy sweetness like you would have with a human cake. And the other thing is we choose different flavors. Like I had mentioned the carob. The carob is a natural,
Yeah.
safe chocolate alternative. So it tastes a lot like chocolate, but it's not chocolate and it's completely safe for them to eat. So making choices like that, like a classic dog flavor peanut butter, like best selling cake mix we have. Everybody knows their dog probably likes peanut butter. So that's a
Yeah.
good choice.
Everybody nut butter. Yeah.
And then, like I was saying with the ice cream mixes, we made our milk lactose free, and that's
Mm-hmm.
a big distinction with ice cream for dogs. It's got to be lactose free, otherwise, dogs are lactose intolerant. It's not something that you want to put them through or put you through.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You don't want to do the cleanup after.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want, no one wants to do that. Yeah.
So, Kelly, what are the most common questions you get from your customers about the cake mixes and the ice cream?
Yeah, I'd say probably the number one question that we do get is it safe for cats? We get that question a lot. And all of the stuff that we make is safe for cats. Are they going to eat it? Probably not.
Yeah.
They're very picky.
Yeah. We do have plans on launching a kitty cake in the spring. Um, but it's going to be a completely different formula. Like cats just have a different palate. They have very little taste buds on their tongue. Like they can't taste a lot with their tongue. It's more scent driven, and they need this balance of like taurine and phosphoric acid. So there's it's going to be a very different recipe for a cat. They can eat anything that we make. They're just probably not going to eat it, and they're probably not going to take more than a couple bites of it. Maybe the ice
Yeah.
cream. If your cat will tolerate the cold,
Mm-hmm.
they'll probably eat the ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for the ice cream, something derived from their, like, the goo that I mentioned to you, Dr. Amber. Like, I've seen that they eat a lot. I'm like, wow. Like, I
The
didn't even know. I
goo.
mean, yeah, there's like a goo that. So I went to this kitty foster, like those cats that had issues. Like there's a foster here in LA, Kalanai drops and stuff. So I got to meet some of the rescued cats, and yeah, I mean, I've never been a cat parent because I always bond with dogs, but I've seen cats, but I have no idea how to really like take care of them. Like at the same time, like how do I bond with them? But she gave me like a goo, and I'm like, what's in it? But apparently, like the cats were just like
Like in a
following me
tube?
around.
Was it like in a tube
Yeah,
that you pulled out?
yeah. And I'm like, what is inside here? It's interesting. I've never really dived in and checked on the ingredients. But yeah, take a look at it. Maybe you can derive one ingredient and add it on the ice cream. Maybe they will like it.
Yeah, they're very protein driven. So that's
Yeah.
the other reason why like a cake doesn't really line up with what they normally like. So we're kind of looking to do maybe almost like more like a mousse like
Oh, what
thing.
I'm thinking,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, maybe have fish flavor in it. They like probably like tuna, right?
Well, there's one of our vendors makes a pretty nice, it's a very pretty pink color salmon, like a dried salmon in a powder form. And the smell of it is pretty
Fishy.
tolerable. Like it's not
Yeah.
bad. No, it's pretty tolerable. So,
Okay.
I just imagine while the cats are the ones that are going to eat this cake, humans are the ones that buy it and have to make it. So I am very conscious of what that experience is going to be for that person. And I don't think they want to microwave some fishy in their house. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very tricky. Yeah, and I was thinking because I know they love tuna, anchovies,
Yeah. We
something
might
sweet.
go for more like a cheese. Like I think like a cheese is probably like a
Oh
happy
yeah.
middle ground where it's like still
Yeah,
pretty high in protein, but it's like a more acceptable kind of desserty kind of flavor, like a cheesecake, something like
yeah,
that, without any sugar in it.
that's cool.
Yeah, in vet school, they always told us cats are not little dogs. And then like do the training and then you have the experience of owning a cat and working with cats. And you're like, oh, yeah, they're totally different. In
Yeah.
our vaccine clinics, we use that Kong spray a lot that comes in that spray can. But
What's in it?
for most dogs, if they're food motivated, they'll eat that. But it was very, very hit and miss for cats, even with like the liver flavor or the cheese flavor. And they almost never wanted the peanut butter, of course. But we got this new type of treat in a little, just like a little sachet. And man, that stuff smells so strong. But I would say probably, 75% of the cats want to eat that. And that's like
Oh,
unheard of in a clinic setting that cats want to eat. And so, yeah, it's like really strong smelling with like this, it's thinner than paste. It's not quite liquidy, but not quite as thick as like toothpaste. And most cats just love it. So I'm excited to see what kind of products you can come up with for
yeah.
kitties too.
Oh, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about maybe can make like cat mousse.
Yeah. Another flavor we're looking at is catnip because like when cats
Yep.
eat catnip, it kind of mellows them out.
Yeah,
So
incorporate
that
it.
could be a good choice as well.
That's exciting. So in 2020, Puppy Cake's production outgrew your Pennsylvania location and moved to a bigger one. I mean, what surprised you about manufacturing?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're a rare company where we actually make all of our products. We get raw ingredients like 50-pound bags of rice flour, 50-pound bags of milk powder, um, 50-pound bags of peanut flour. So like we get all of our raw materials and then we blend them. And we've got some pretty big machinery here. I think the thing that surprised me most about manufacturing is just the challenges of trying to manage a lot of SKUs. So we have a lot of products, a lot of different flavors, different sizes, and trying to make them all and keep like dates still pretty fresh. And so that's one of the biggest challenges. Like the equipment part was fairly easy. Like we started really small with me like hand scooping things like in my apartment. And then we grew to a slightly larger piece of equipment that I got from a company in Vermont. And it was a vibratory filler, which is not ideal for powders, but we just kind of had to like walk before we ran. And then upgraded that to a vertical form and fill machine, which takes a flat roll of plastic and it perfectly portions out your powder and then seals the bag. So it makes a bag and seals it. And then we grew from I guess that machine was about 7 feet tall to
wow.
our like 16-foot tall machine. And we ended up buying a second one. And then we've got like 9 foot tall Hobart's, the like largest, well, actually probably not the largest one, Hobart Marks, but the 140 quart mixer. So we've got two of those. And then it went from, we used to be able to just like uh, easily scoop what had mixed into our machines. Well, now we're
Yeah,
talking, we're like mixing hundreds of pounds at a time in one batch.
yeah.
So we had to like get a machine that literally lifts these giant bowls. They're so big, a grown man can fit in these bowls, lifts it
Oh
up and
my
dumps it.
God.
Wow.
So the challenges were growing because like a lot of times it's easy to grow sales. You start,
Yeah,
advertise, you show it to people, we want this, and they start buying it. But the manufacturing part, you have to be really smart about growing and preparing for growth because
mhm,
you eventually hit a cap where, the machine can only make so many things per day. And now we cannot, we've met our factory cap. And that is what happened in Evan City is like we've met we kind of exceeded. We were bursting at the seams. We had to have like stuff, anything that didn't need to be like climate controlled, like packaging, we had to put in storage areas, and would have to drive back and forth to pick up different things. And so that's part of what the challenge is like, just having enough equipment and the size and then the staff behind it to be able to like meet demand. That's hard.
yeah. I could imagine.
Thankfully, like I have like an engineering brain to where I find it really interesting. Like, how can we make this really efficient? how can we grow in an appropriate way, like without getting too big of equipment too fast. And then you've
Mhm.
got like this huge asset that, has a big monthly payment and you don't have the sales to support it, which thankfully has
Yeah.
not happened to us. But yeah, there's the growth is probably the most challenging part of the manufacturing. Right now, I've got a great team. I've got people that have been working for me for at least 2 years in this company, some a lot longer than that. They know what they're doing. They're really good at what they do. And so it's just a matter of like me making sure that they have what they need to do their jobs really well. So right now, the manufacturing has been fairly easy. So I'm very thankful for that. But I mean, that's 17 years of experience, I guess. Eventually it should
Yeah.
get fairly easy.
Yeah, but I mean, I could imagine that there are some probably ingredients that are being changed. I mean, as we grow and new technology comes in, new ingredient are being discovered or introduced in the market. Like, is there like other maybe like, let's say your number one product, which is a carob and banana? I mean, I bet it's still there because it's a very purely like easy to get ingredient. Are there like certain like bestsellers or ingredients or mixes that you guys have to like take out of the shelves and change? Did you ever
Mm,
experience that because of like shortage
yeah.
or yeah?
Yeah, we did. So we had an issue where, we have very high standards for our ingredients. So like when we were trying to find sprinkles, dog safe sprinkles, we found a company out in Washington that was making sprinkles for people, vegan sprinkles that had no sugar added to them, no palm oil, and they hit all of our ingredients. So like vegetable coloring versus like red number 40 and things like that. So we were buying sprinkles from them and they took off. Like we had them in our cake mix, our birthday cake flavored cake mix, and we were selling them like crazy to the point where this company like couldn't keep up with us. And so
Oh,
from one manufacturer to another, I was like, can we sit down? I would be happy to share with you like how we grew, like how you can finance equipment. Like we're really depending on you to continue to grow this flavor. It's very popular and we want to do more. And at the time we were paying almost $11 a pound delivered, which is a lot for an ingredient to pay $11 a pound. Put in
oh,
perspective, like I think our milk powder, which is like our most expensive ingredient, like or almost not peanut butter, my more expensive. I think it's like at least four something a pound. So to pay $11 a pound for sprinkles is a lot.
Yeah.
And my husband is our chief engineer here. And I was telling him what was going on. And he's like, show this to me. And I had figured out like one of the base ingredients for it because one of my employees was eating them because again they're human grade sprinkles and she's like, I love these sprinkles. I'm like, you do? I mean, so they don't have a lot of flavor. The dogs like them but they don't have a lot of flavors. And I ate one. I said, I know what this is. And so then I told my husband like a dried wheat, it's like a
mm-hmm.
couscous. And
Mm-hmm.
I told
Mm.
my husband, I was like, this is what it is. Like, can you make these for us?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it took him about, I don't even know if it took him 6 weeks. He reverse engineered it, made it better, and now we make our own sprinkles. And we went from
Wow.
spending $11 a pound to I think it cost us a fraction of that what it used to cost us now.
Oh,
And
that's
so that was
amazing.
an example of like we hit a wall with ingredients and we needed that specific product and they just couldn't
Mm-hmm.
keep up with us. And we weren't able to work together for them to be able to keep up with us.
But now it's in house and it's better to have it. You're basically
Yeah.
controlling the ingredient. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, we were able to increase the shelf life as well by getting the moisture content way down with the process that Blake created. So that was
Mm,
like very cool. It saved us a lot of money just in the first year
yeah.
to, cover the expense of like all the time he spent researching it. And then he also ended up building us special equipment so that we could bake like 1,000 pounds in a day if we needed to.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. That
That's
is
great.
really cool.
Yeah. So what's next for Puppy Cake in 2025? Like other than the cat that you mentioned, product.
Yeah, so
What?
we're going to be launching a kitty cake in the spring. And then the other thing that we're working on is, so because we love our ice cream mixes, is we want to make a sample pack of our ice cream mixes where instead of four separate cups, you get a silicone, like almost like an ice cube tray with four different shapes, like a birthday hat, a paw print, a cupcake, and a present, I think is what the fourth one is going to
Mm-hmm.
be. And so you
Mm-hmm.
can buy that sample pack of all four flavors and have this like really cute tray to go with it. And then you can pour your ice
Oh,
cream mix into the tray and freeze it. And like, I think the Instagram photos are going to be adorable for all these
I'm
dogs
excited.
with
Yeah.
their birthday themed ice cream shape. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm excited. I want to try that. Like When is this going to be out? Like, is it going to be first quarter?
Oh
Not
man, I
yet.
wish we could. We still have quite a bit of CAD work because those are for intricate shapes. But as soon as the CAD work is done for that, I think we'll be able to have like a pretty solid timeline. But I'm confident we'll have it on store shelves by June 1st.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I'm gonna try puppy cake for cut season. My son's
That's
birthday. Okay, another question on the packaging. Like, do you have specific recipes that we can try, or how we prepare it? You know how those bags that I buy, I've been buying muffin mixes that are clean. I mean, I'm happy that there's a lot of products out there that carry like clean ingredients, no filler, 3 or 4 ingredients that I can make into my carrot cake, cupcake, or muffins. Is there a recipe at the back that I can use for the cake?
So you can follow the regular recipe, which is on the packaging: egg, oil, and water, bake at this certain amount. Or for the cuppy cake, you just add water and microwave it. But there's also extra recipes where you can take our cake mix base and turn it into something else, like turn it into a pancake mix or something like that. Or like if you
Mm.
wanted to make extra icing, you could go to our website and go to our blog. There's like different recipes for using like Greek yogurt and honey, Greek yogurt and peanut butter, making a really creamy icing, which is like high protein. Make sure you're choosing the right peanut butter. We don't want to be using any sugar-free peanut butter for dogs, but make sure you're using a dog-safe peanut butter. And so there's different like ideas like that on our blog, on our website, on puppycake.com.
Okay. All right, we'll do that then. I'm excited.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for being here. I think that, I guess, the entrepreneur and the reverse engineering and all of that stuff is like so outside of my skill set that I'm just amazed. I think it's so cool that you've, come up with these ideas of how to give our dogs healthy treats and for that human animal bond too. I think it's just so cool.
Yeah, I think for me, that's my takeaway. Like, now we have an option and like making, let's say, healthy cakes for our dogs for their birthdays. And at the same time, I can create snacks or treats for them and by incorporating like the mixes that Kelly has with.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway was just understanding, like with some of which each of you having pets with really specific needs, is really understanding like and being reminded that each pet needs to have their own diet that's tailored to them, and working with a veterinarian, especially someone with like actually has a nutrition certification, is probably the best way to achieve that.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, Kelly, for joining us today.
You're welcome. It was great talking to both of you. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So where can our listeners find Puppy Cake's products?
So our products are sold mostly in independent pet stores across the U.S. You can also buy it on our website, and everything is sold on Amazon.com as well.
Awesome. And then do you have social media too that customers can follow?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram at Puppy Cake LLC, and we're also on Facebook and TikTok. Same handle, Puppy Cake LLC.
Awesome.
A big thank you to everyone who tuned in today. I hope you learned as much as we did. As always, we'd love to hear your input in this episode as well as questions you may have about your pet. Please email us at podcast@vitalpetlife.com.
This is Dr. Amber, your official veterinarian at Vital Pet Life. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, have a wonderful week.